the current state, the NIL deal, how is it affecting your level, if it is at all? And are you hearing it even from the JUCO level, trying to recruit to your kids? Are you hearing it as well? Because you just mentioned everything that I'm going to show you in this video. Bailey, run it. This is the University of Texas. My boy Stark. This is this is D1 now, Chev. You were leaving this when it started. This is what the recruiting visits are like, I guess, nowadays. I texted Sark too, like, man, can I get one of them motherfuckers? Where are you at with this current state? Could you I guess you were leaving when this started to become what it is. Did you see the writing on the wall that this was going to get out of control, or is this what we got to adapt and overcome, and this is what it is now? You either adapt or get out of the business, right? I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I never really got the whole like put the cars on the field and take pictures when they're not their cars. But I guess if they're giving out cars, though, they're probably giving out cars now if you sign. So maybe they're getting one of those. Hey, pick one of these and you can come. So I don't know what the recruiting ploy is, but I never understood the exotic cars, just taking pictures with exotic cars, unless they're getting the car.
That's yours, yeah.
So at Texas, they're probably getting the car.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
That's a different animal now. So I would imagine that a lot of those guys are driving those cars.
Are you seeing it? So are there kids that are like, because all these kids, from what I've been speaking to some kids recently at a couple schools here, and I'm gonna go speak to your good friend Mike Machete, who does a great job. Who we were high school rivals, and then you were teammates. Let me ask you, are you seeing this? Because every kid thinks they're a 5-star kid now. It seems like, from what I'm taking away from it, and they all think they deserve the bag. Are you seeing it at D2 level? Are you having to like say, "Hey, son, listen, come here," and then are they giving you any like, "Well, what do you got for me"? Are you getting that there?
Yeah, we're getting a little bit of that. We've signed probably 15 to 18 junior college players, and some of the top ones in California too. And so we've had a good recruiting rapport with the guys out there because of my ties to the West Coast, and the coaches that I know, they trust me, so they'll send us their players. But yeah, I mean, I think that comes up. I think it's a case-by-case basis on how good is the player, how much can he help us, and how much can we help him. And so I think you see a little bit of it, JB, but not on the scale you're going to see it at the Power 5 level. I mean, that's a different animal. I mean, you're talking about quarterbacks getting $1 million. The top quarterbacks, they're getting $1 million. And so the top players are getting anywhere between $250,000 and $500,000. So that's a different deal now. And that's why there's attorneys involved. That's why there's contracts involved. And, now they're talking about going to this revenue sharing thing, probably. But I think once you open up revenue sharing, now it's going to grow even more because they're going to want the money from the university, but they're also going to want money from NIL. NIL ain't going away, and collectives aren't going away, even though they're trying to get the money put back into the universities where they have control of it. But once you open Pandora's box, you ain't closing that box now. It's open. So
yeah, it's like
a matter of how you're going to pay them. How are you going to pay them, and what's the pay scale going to be?
It's like putting the paste back in the tube, I guess. That you can't do it. You can't do it. Let me ask you. So when I played D2 in the RMAC back in the day. Now it's the MIAA, the big dog in the Division II level. The MIAA is probably the Division I Power 5 of D2. And you're in there, right? You're in this big dog with Fort Hayes and all these schools. Fort Hayes was old RMAC when I played, and we were 28 scholarships. I played for Jeff Liker, who coached Peyton Manning at Tennessee, who's now the AD at Coffeyville Junior College. But we were splitting those 28 and getting 56 and trying to this guy got X amount of dollars based on his status and how good he was, and then this guy didn't get the same scholarship dollar. Are you having to finagle that, and is it going to make you a better coach managing this NIL money? Because that's in essence what you're probably doing when you get a D1 job now. It's kind of salary cap management when you're having to maneuver. I love the D2 model because I wish the D1 used that model instead of what the current NIL model is, because I think, like you said, only 1% of these guys making that big money. The rest of them are making $350. Yeah. People don't see it, but is that helping you think?
Yeah, I mean, we tier our money. I mean, because you have to, basically what I look at it as, we have 36 full scholarships. I got to break it down. So starter money is going to be around 10,000 a kid. Competing to be a starter is going to be around 8,000. Competing to be in the rotation is going to be 6,000. High school kids coming out is going to be between 4,000 and 6,000, depending on what position they play. And so you have to tier it in order to build a solid roster across the board. I want to get 70 to 75 players on some kind of money. And that way that not only are we building our roster from the bottom up, but you're able to kind of balance your budget as far as scholarship money. And then, we're exploring some NIL stuff here too at Northeastern State. We have some big time donors that are involved with our program. They're also involved with OU's program. So we've been kind of dabbling in that as well and getting something started. So, we're building this kind of program like you would build, if you were building a program from the bottom up, this is how you would do it. You would have kind of a cap of what your money looks like and what are you spending your money on and what are the positions of need. And so, yeah, I think it's definitely a great experience for me, as I work my way up as a head coach in this profession, of being able to not only manage your staff, but also manage your roster as well.
How and I know Smitty got some questions, but I'm gonna ask you real quick, how transparent, how important is transparency, I guess, because when I played D2, we didn't see the money. We didn't know what we really were getting until later. I was like, wait up, dog. Why is this D tackle getting more money than this fucking quarterback or whatever? Are you just broke it down in layman's terms for everybody in the chat. And now last time you were on, we weren't this big. There's about almost 4,000 people in here over all the platform live. So we appreciate you coming on. How important is transparency and saying, listen, man, are you telling the roster now because these guys are so picky on everybody's pockets and these kids are now like, hey, man, the pastor's greener over here. Why am I only getting $6,000 and he's getting 10? Is it important to do that, or is it everybody knows kind of where their pecking order is?
I mean, when we recruit them, I tell them exactly what I just told you. Look, if you're a starter, you're going to be getting anywhere between 10,000 or above based on what your value is to our roster. Yeah. If you're not competing to be a starter right now and you're just trying to compete to be in the rotation, then your money's going to fall in this level. But
is that like, let's say you don't know he's a starter yet, so when you're recruiting a kid, he becomes a starter in fall, the money now has to be adjusted?
Yeah, the money will go up. And so we're able to kind of, at the end of the day, we got to balance our books too. And so we got to make sure that we're falling in line with the 36 full scholarships. And then I tell people,
you got Pell Grant in there, and
you got Pell Grant in there, which is going to offset costs. Our full cost of attendance is 16,000. So if you give a guy 10,000, he gets full Pell, he's on full scholarship. So it's a good setup. But I tell our guys, look, you can play yourself up to money, but you can also play yourself down too. If you're not playing well,
incentive based.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I mean, because to me, it's kind of a positive though, from a standpoint of like, I would assume if I was a player, it would lead to increased competition. It's like, damn, like I need that full, I need that 10,000. So I'm gonna go out here and give it my all, as you should anyway. But it's just an extra incentive to go out there and make sure you're locked in, because you're actually playing for something that beyond just the team and the accolade. You're playing for your school to be paid for, you know what I'm saying, which is important.
No doubt. And I think obviously us as coaches, we have to project certain guys, JB, as we recruit them to come in, especially like older kids, junior college kids. You're projecting those kids to come in and be starters or competing to be starters. Yeah. And so that's how I frame it for them too, to come in like, hey, look, this is where we have you slotted, and then you got to come in, you got to prove your worth, and that's all of us, that's coaches included. We all got to do our job at a high level, especially nowadays, because people want to win, people want to see immediate results. And so they hire someone like me because of my background, but also they want to get this program in Northeastern State back to what it used to be back in the 90s when it was a perennial power. And we're basically starting from the bottom and building our program up.